You ever notice how the older you get, the smaller your cycle becomes? Not in some tragic way, more like your soul is quietly firing the HR department and reducing noises for efficient growth. It is not because you hate people, but you have just seen too much. You have learned that not everyone deserves front row seats to your life. But here is the interesting part. Psychologically, people who keep their cycle small aren't always introvert or antisocial. Research from the University of Kansas found that meaningful relationship, those real deep soul level connections, require roughly 200 hours of quality time to form. 200! So when someone keeps a small cycle, it is not about exclusion, it is about energy economics. There is only so much time and emotional bandwidth to go around. And honestly, people who got that bandwidth are usually more emotionally intelligent than they get credit for. You see, researchers from the University of Michigan found that emotionally intelligent people often have fewer but closer friends. They are more selective, not because they are judgmental, but because they are tuned in. They know that every person you let in changes the emotional climate of your life. Because let us be real, every friend costs something. Not money, but energy, presence, empathy. And if you are the kind of person who feel everything deeply, that is expensive. Now let us talk about trust. People who keep their cycle small often have sharper trust radars. That is not paranoia, it is pattern recognition. Psychologists calls it learned vigilance. It develops after a few rounds of betrayal, disappointment, or just chronic human inconsistency. Once you have been through that enough times, your brain starts doing background checks automatically. You stop oversharing, you listen more, you observe before you invite. There is a reason small cycle people are often labeled as quiet or mysterious, but in their head it is just maths. They have realized that attention is currency and not everyone deserves a deposit. According to a 2021 study from the Oxford University, the human brain can maintain close emotional relationships with only about 5 people at a time. 5? That is not cold, it is biology. The brain has limits, especially in emotional processing. So if you are one of those people who can count your real friends on one hand, then congratulations, you are actually functioning right at capacity, because everyone else is just pretending they can handle the group chat. Small cycle people usually fall into 2 main categories. First, there is the quiet guardians, the ones who value peace over popularity. They would rather spend Saturday night alone with a book or a movie than in a room full of noise. Then there is the wounded alchemist, the ones who got burnt a few times and turned that pain into discernment. You see, both types look similar from the outside, but their motivations are different. Quiet guidance protects their serenity, wounded alchemists protect their scars. But both are masters of boundaries. Research from the Harvard Human Flourishing Program found that people with clear boundaries report higher life satisfaction and lower stress level, even if they have fewer social ties. So it turns out that the statement "less is more" is not just a minimalistic slogan, it is a mental health strategy. But of course, there is a darker side to keeping your cycle tiny. You see, sometimes that solitude becomes a fortress. You start to feel safe there, maybe a little too safe. The same walls that keep the chaos out can also keep the love out. Psychology calls it defensive independence. It is when your self-sufficiency becomes an armor. You start believing you don't need anyone, and eventually that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I've seen it. Maybe you have felt it. That quiet ache of knowing that you are hard to reach even when you want to be found. That is the paradox of small cycle. It is both a sanctuary and a self-imposed exile. If you are one of those people who keeps your cycle tiny, ask yourself this: are you protecting your peace, or are you avoiding vulnerability? Because the line between the two is thinner than we like to admit. Keeping your cycle small can be a sign of maturity, emotional intelligence, and self-respect. But when it is driven by fear, it turns into isolation dressed as wisdom. And yeah, sometimes it is just social fatigue, because honestly, Who has the patience for small talks that will lead to nowhere? But still, connection matters, even if it's just 1 or 2 people who get you. According to a 2023 study from the American Psychological Association, having even one emotionally reliable friend reduces loneliness scores by nearly 50%. One friend. So maybe it is not about how big the cycle is, but how real it is. And here is the truth. If you keep your cycle small, it does not mean you are cold, broken, or hard to love. It means you are learning to curate your peace like it is an art. It means you have realized that not everyone deserves access to your unfiltered mind. And it means you have finally outgrown the need to be everywhere for everyone. But just remember, walls are meant to protect, but doors still need to open sometimes. That is the psychology of people who keep their cycle tiny. And maybe, just maybe, the real flex is not how few people you let in, but how deeply you let them stay. Anyways, thanks for letting me into your head for a few minutes. If you want to keep exploring the hidden patterns of the mind, stay close and subscribe.